The story begins with a spirit looking out the window. She thinks she never expected the school year to pass so quickly into summer. With everything that has been happening lately, it makes sense to her. No one has been able to find the room where she has stayed for 60 years. This year's students are her last hope. If no one finds her, her connection with humans may end this year. The scene shifts to a boy, Zeno-kun, who sits quietly in the classroom when another boy approaches him and thanks him for picking up his eraser earlier. He remarks that Zeno seems like a genuinely kind person. However, the polite tone quickly changes as he begins to irritate Zeno by handing him only a small amount of money and asking him to buy bread for 3 people. He casually suggests that 60 yen is probably enough to get a few pieces. Around them, the other students remain silent as Zeno endures this subtle form of bullying. Even on the very first day, Zeno is made to run errands. The boy warns him that he might get angry if the bread tastes bad. Zeno refuses to comply and firmly tells them to go themselves. The boy immediately reacts with anger and criticizes Zeno for his sharp words. A quiet sense of concern spreads among the other students as they observe the tense exchange. The boy then tries to escalate the situation by suggesting that all 4 of them should go together, continuing to pressure Zeno. From a distance, another student watches the scene with a heavy heart. Unable to ignore it any longer, he decides to step in and offers to buy their lunch himself. His sudden intervention surprises everyone, especially because no one seems to know him. His name is Yajima. As he is about to leave, Zeno stops him and insists on giving him money to cover both what the bullies failed to provide and his own lunch. Yajima politely refuses. Zeno keeps insisting, but Yajima remains firm and quietly admits that he may have caused Zeno to worry. He points out that Yajima is unusually willing to help others. After a short pause, he silently agrees and then leaves without accepting the money. Walking away, he reflects that he should learn to help people more naturally, so he does not make others worry. Yajima has a unique way of seeing the world because he can see spirits that remain invisible to ordinary people. He senses the lingering anger and sadness of humans and notices how these invisible beings respond to the emotions around them. As Yajima walks, he sees spirits gathering around him. He knows that to avoid attracting them, he must live peacefully. Suddenly, a strange feeling pricks at the back of his mind, and something breaks behind him. He recalls how he's been able to see spirits since childhood. That is why his actions often seem suspicious to others. Even if he could not see them, he believes he would probably still be socially awkward. Following the sound, he discovers a broken talisman lying on the ground. That explains the noise. He chooses to ignore it and continues toward the rooftop, thinking it would be better to eat there for now. The moment he opens the rooftop door, a massive spirit appears before him. Its overwhelming presence instantly brings back memories of his father's death. In his mind, he sees himself as a child desperately calling out for his father to run. Suddenly, a female spirit appears, and the enormous spirit vanishes as she arrives. She tells Yajima that she sometimes gathers the spirits accumulating at the school and cleans them away. She asks if he's been hurt. Despite her calm tone, he senses a danger in her far greater than the thing that killed his father. The only comfort is that she does not seem hostile. The woman smiles and explains that she has been waiting for decades. She says it has been 60 years since a human reached this room. Yajima, confused, realizes he only intended to go to the rooftop. She introduces herself as Nue, explaining that she was sealed here long ago and cannot leave the room. She asks him to keep her company. Later, he plays video games with Nue in her room. She plays with intense focus, teasing him that he should know his weaknesses and that in this round, his feet will never touch the ground. Yajima is surprised by her skill and intensity, struggling to reconcile her playful behavior with the dangerous aura he sensed earlier. He feels confused. Despite his initial fear, she is doing something entertaining and almost normal. He cannot understand how they are playing together and silently wonders who she really is. He keeps thinking about what she said. She cannot leave the room, yet there are stacks of manga and even the latest video games. She looks human and seems to enjoy subculture things. Clearly, she is different. Nu asks him if he feels a little relieved, noticing how tense he still is. She remarks that he was wary of her, but still came into the room, which makes her happy. Even though she told him that if he ran away, she could not do anything, he came in despite his fear. Yajima thinks it is fine. He cannot imagine living alone for 60 years. Nue calls him kind-hearted and thanks him, noting that being able to see spirits and having his personality must make school life difficult. Yajima shrugs quietly, insisting that it is not that hard. Nu inquires if he often takes on other people's errands and acts like a lackey. He admits that he did exactly that today. Nu explains that the school usually contains many spirits and that when negative human emotions gather, they increase in number and make everything more difficult. Yajima wonders if something unusual is happening at the school. Nue confirms that the weakening of her seal is the cause. She appreciates his efforts not to increase the number of spirits, but warns that human emotions are difficult to control and do not fade easily. She further adds that when gathered spirits begin to mix, they can eventually become visible to humans. Once that happens, they can become deadly. She notes that he may have already seen one before, and warns that now that her seal is weakening, the mixed phenomenon may grow even stronger. Nu offers to lend him her power if he can defeat the spirits, but Yajima immediately refuses. He cannot imagine doing something so dangerous. She insists that he can, and claims that he has talent. He shakes his head as the memory of his father being killed by a spirit flashes back. He trembles at the thought and refuses again. Nu feels sorry for placing him in such a painful position. Later, he brings food to the boys he usually helps. They comment on how genuinely kind he is, and mention that the money he gives truly helps them. Meanwhile, the group continues to bully Zeno. They mock him and say that he could never hold a part-time job. One of them laughs and adds that there are very few people with such a slave mentality, claiming Zeno will probably spend his whole life being used by others. As the mocking continues, they suggest that since they have the chance, they should make proper use of him. Zeno approaches them with a fierce expression and tells them to shut up because he hates such disgusting conversations. One of the boys immediately grows angry and grabs Zeno by the collar. At that moment, Yajima arrives and sees Zeno injured with the group surrounding him. One of the boys turns toward Yajima and mocks him, claiming that Zeno's own actions caused the situation and daring him to do something about it. He steps closer and directly threatens Yajima, saying that he will hit him too. A wave of confusion and guilt washes over our lad. He wonders how everything ends up like this when all he wants is to prevent anyone from getting hurt. He begins to question what he could have done to resolve the situation peacefully. At that moment, Nue appears and watches the scene unfold. She quietly murmurs that this is happening far too soon. Then her gaze catches something alarming. A bad spirit has arrived, and its size is far beyond what she expects. It is massive and terrifying, radiating an overwhelming presence that makes the situation even more dangerous. The boy is about to be attacked by the enormous spirit when Yajima notices it and realizes that it may be the gathered spirits Nue warned him about. The bully, still unable to understand the danger in front of him, angrily orders his friends to deal with it, telling them to kill it. However, it quickly becomes clear that none of them can handle something so terrifying. Yajima stares in horror. He realizes this is bad and that the boy is about to die. The sight sends a chill through him as it reminds him of the moment his father died right in front of him. A painful flashback rushes through his mind. He remembers his father's final words, telling him to live on and keep fighting to survive, assuring him that he is strong. Those words echo in his mind as Yajima tries to force himself to move. He urges his trembling body to respond, desperately trying to stop himself from freezing in fear. Before he can act, Zeno suddenly rushes forward. He pulls the boy out of the spirit's path and places himself directly in front of the monstrous figure instead. Yajima watches in shock as Zeno stands there facing it. He quickly tells Zeno not to freeze, urging him to watch the spirit's movements and run. Zeno turns to Yajima and sharply tells him to run. He explains that he is staying behind to act as a decoy and urges Yajima to leave immediately. He cannot understand why Zeno would do such a thing and desperately questions his decision. Zeno simply insists that it is his choice and tells him again to hurry and go. Yajima protests, knowing that this is wrong and that Zeno should not do something so reckless. In the next moment, the spirit strikes Zeno. Yajima stands frozen, his thoughts spiraling. He remembers the lesson carved into him by his father's death, that one must never resist something far stronger than oneself. More than anything, he never wants to witness such a tragedy again. He had only wanted to resolve everything peacefully, yet now everything has completely fallen apart. Yajima's mind fills with the memory of his father's final words. He remembers his father telling him that he had done it, asking if he had seen it, and proudly saying that he had protected him from that dangerous thing. His father had called himself incredibly strong, and those words now echo painfully in Yajima's heart. He realizes that strength is what allows a person to make choices. Without strength, there is no power to decide anything. To him, both Zeno and his father are strong because they can choose between their own lives and someone else's. Yajima keeps thinking that he wants to be able to choose as well. More than anything, he wants a path where neither he nor anyone else gets hurt. Deep down, he knows it is because he is a coward, afraid of seeing pain and loss again. With that determination, Yajima rushes forward and throws himself in front of Zeno, shielding him from the spirit's attack. Zeno stares at him in shock, unable to understand why he would do something so reckless. Yajima apologizes for not being able to save him before, and admits that he has always wanted to be strong as well. He wants to become the kind of person who can protect others and still find a way to save everyone. At that moment, Nue appears and tells him there is nothing wrong with that desire. She asks if he will allow her to train him. She apologizes for being late and explains that for now, she is only a fragment attached to Yajima's shoulder. Nu praises both of them, explaining that it takes time before she can be fully used. She tells them they are both incredibly brave and have endured everything so far. She then explains that in her divided form, there is only so much she can do. At this moment, she can either ensure the safety of both of them or grant Yajima power. She leaves the decision to him. Without hesitation, he agrees and requests her to give him power. He declares that he will defeat the spirit himself. Nu is pleased with his answer. She praises him as a kind and brave boy and asks for his name. He introduces himself as Yajima Gakuro. Nu smiles and tells him that life will become difficult from now on, but he must continue to do his best. In return, she promises to stand by him and to raise him into the strongest warrior, someone capable of saving everyone. After receiving her power, Yajima becomes far stronger than before and faces the spirit himself. With a single movement, he unleashes an attack so powerful that even Zeno is left in disbelief. The force is overwhelming and destroys part of the classroom, leaving everyone stunned. Still adjusting to this new strength, Yajima asks Nue how he is supposed to use it. Nu calmly instructs him to swing the sword as he normally would and try cutting naturally. Yajima follows her instructions carefully. She quickly notices his output is too high and tells him to hold back slightly. He takes a deep breath, refocuses his energy, and adjusts his control. Taking her advice, he attacks again, concentrating fully on controlling the force behind his strike. Each movement is precise and deliberate. The spirit, unable to withstand the controlled power, is finally defeated. Nue watches with wide eyes, clearly impressed, and wonders if this is natural talent. After waiting so long, she feels it was worth it. As the adrenaline settles, Yajima senses something unusual within himself. A heavy realization washes over him, as if there is no turning back from what he has done. It is a weight of responsibility he cannot ignore. Despite Nue continuing to praise him, Yajima's attention turns inward. He notices something remarkable. The trembling that always overtakes him in fear is gone. For the first time, his body feels steady. No shaking, no hesitation, only calm focus. It is a completely new sensation, and it fills him with quiet confidence. In that moment, he realizes something within him has changed forever. The next day, he enters the classroom and immediately notices that everything is neat and completely restored. He stares in confusion, thinking about how he had blown a hole through the classroom the previous day. Yet now it has returned to normal, as if nothing ever happened. He cannot understand how, after everything that happened yesterday, the room looks untouched. At that moment, the bully notices Yajima and casually greets him, then asks him to go buy some juice. Yajima freezes in confusion. During yesterday's fight, the boy clearly lost his arm, yet now he stands there perfectly fine. Yajima cannot make sense of it. He keeps wondering what happened after he defeated the spirit, but no matter how hard he tries, he cannot remember. The bully calls his name again, pulling him out of his thoughts. Yajima absent-mindedly agrees and turns to buy the juice. As he walks, he reflects that it is not easy for someone's personality to change so quickly. Suddenly, Nui appears beside him in the form of a girl and greets him with a cheerful good morning. She immediately points out that he is running errands first thing in the morning once again. He is surprised to see her outside and asks how she is able to be there. Nu calmly explains that what Yajima is seeing now is only one of her clones. While he is at school, her clone moves freely around the grounds, handling tasks and monitoring events at the same time. She adds that this ability has become possible because she met him. He can't help but feel amazed again at how incredible her power truly is. A sudden thought crosses his mind, and he hesitantly wonders if she is the one who repaired the classroom, healed everyone's injuries, and erased the students' memories after the earlier incident. Nu calmly shakes her head, saying that none of it was her doing. She explains that such matters are handled by exorcists who quietly manage these situations to prevent chaos and maintain balance. Curious, Yajima asks about the exorcists and why he has never heard of them before. Nue explains that until now she has protected everything on her own, but has recently had to rely on their assistance. She emphasizes that this town is unusual with far more spirit-related incidents than normal, and that the exorcists work behind the scenes to contain these threats. Hearing this, Yajima begins to grasp just how much unseen effort goes into keeping the town safe. Nu's words make him realize that the world he has been living in is far more complex than he imagined. Even with her extraordinary powers, she cannot handle everything alone, and the exorcists play a crucial role in maintaining the delicate balance between humans and spirits. Shifting the conversation, she cheerfully invites Yajima to play with her in the room. At first, he almost apologizes and refuses because he is on his way to run the bully's errand. Then it suddenly strikes him. Why is he prioritizing the bully's request over Nue? He pauses, realizing this is an invitation from someone important. He reminds himself not to worry about what comes after, and instead to choose for himself. It feels like exactly what Nue would tell him. Before he can fully respond, Nue suddenly grabs his hand and pulls him along, excitedly saying she has always wanted to try card games because she never had anyone to play with. Yajima thinks that this straightforwardness is very much like her. She simply says what is on her mind without hesitation. He quietly tells her he could walk on his own, but still feels grateful. Soon they are absorbed in a card game. He carefully follows the rules, realizing how Nue's side reaching 0 means he loses. Nu confirms this and praises him for learning quickly. He finds himself genuinely enjoying it, thinking about how simple and fun the game is. Nu asks if he wants another round, and Yajima confidently believes he understands it now. Yet again, he loses after running out of cards. She confirms it once more and praises his understanding. They continue playing, clearly enjoying themselves. By the third match, he feels he might finally win. Hearing this, Nue says that maybe she should start taking it seriously too. Yajima protests, insisting that if she has been holding back, she should at least let him win once. Nue firmly refuses, telling him not to be spoiled. She explains that she once lost a friend because she gave in, and since then she never chooses to lose on purpose. He finds her words mysterious and wonders about her past. At the same time, he is impressed that she not only excels in combat but also knows card games, manga, anime, and video games. Her wide range of knowledge surprises him. Nue explains that she is interested in all forms of human entertainment. Hearing this, Yajima begins to understand her better and wonders if she protects entertainment itself. Nue agrees partially, then simply says she likes humans. That is why she is grateful to him. She then reveals that the tool she uses to gather spirits broke yesterday after reaching its limit. He realizes she is referring to the mask-like object. Nu confirms it and warns that spirits in the school will likely become more active. Yajima wonders whether the exorcists will handle it. Nue explains they are currently short-staffed and may not respond immediately. She then tells him she wants him to defeat any spirits that appear, but warns him not to overuse his power so soon after receiving it. Because of that, she suggests they avoid fighting for the day. Instead, she cheerfully proposes they enjoy school life. Yajima stares at her in disbelief and asks if she plans to come to class as well. Nue replies that she will come secretly. She jokingly tells him that if they get caught, he should simply say she is his older sister, though not by blood. Yajima can only hope she is not discovered. When he enters the classroom, his classmates immediately surround him, asking about the girl he was with. Yajima quickly realizes she has already been noticed. After hesitating, he awkwardly says she is his older sister, not related by blood. The boys react with excitement and disbelief. Even Zeno looks more interested than expected, as if Yajima had been hiding something surprising. At that moment, the bully, Yokomichi Ganzi, approaches and asks if Yajima's sister is really that beautiful. He pushes him, demanding an introduction. Yajima nervously refuses. Ganze casually says he is simply her admirer. While they talk, Nue suddenly enters the classroom. She casually says Gaku forgot something and brought it for him, a pony card expansion pack called Patriot Nemesis. Yajima is stunned by how naturally she walks in, as if she belongs there. The class reacts with excitement and admiration. Nue asks if the boys are his friends. Ganzi quickly says yes. Nu smiles and says she is happy he is getting along with others. Yajima immediately senses something off. Ganzi's heartbeat is unusually fast. One of his friends tells him he becomes nervous around beautiful women. Watching this, Yajima thinks there might actually be a peaceful way to handle things. Nu also comments that the class seems fun. Yajima notices the atmosphere has indeed improved since she arrived, and spirits are less likely to gather in such a place. He begins to suspect this may be her purpose. Just then, the teacher enters and orders everyone to sit, saying the bell has rung. Yajima immediately feels something wrong. Hamamoto-sensei looks exhausted, clearly influenced by a spirit. Hamamoto suddenly demands to know who Nue is. Before she can answer, his tone turns aggressive. He slams the table, breaking it. Yajima steps in immediately, blocking him. He realizes he now needs to act. Zeno joins him and warns that Hamamoto is dangerous, calling others to help restrain him. Together, they push Hamamoto back, but the glass behind him breaks. Hamamoto falls out of the building, and Yajima is pulled down with him. Mid-fall, Nue tells Yajima to use his power. He obeys instantly. The spirit is forced out of Hamamoto's body by the surge of energy. From above, the students watch in shock, unable to fully understand what is happening. Yajima sees Hamamoto still in danger. Nue moves quickly and creates a barrier, preventing him from falling further. Once safe, Hamamoto returns to normal. Zeno, still confused, praises Yajima for his courage and quick action. Nue also praises him, saying she is glad he is safe. The tension fades, and he collapses from exhaustion. Nu supports him and tells him to rest. Later, he wakes up. Nu explains she is replenishing his power and that he must stay like this for now. She places her hand on his forehead to restore him. She says that during replenishment, she needs physical contact and that this will be necessary each time. Yajima worries about what that means going forward. Noticing this, Nue gently reassures him not to overthink it. She apologizes for pushing him too hard and praises him again. He quietly reflects on everything that happened and realizes that without her, things could have gone very differently. He feels grateful and determined to improve. As he calms down, another thought unexpectedly crosses his mind. Nue smells surprisingly nice up close. He blushes slightly, feeling both embarrassed and oddly comforted, before silently resolving to grow stronger. Yajima keeps thinking about Nue's words. She had told him that if he ever sees someone being drained by a spirit, he should help them. After hearing that from Nue-san, the hesitation in his heart had disappeared. Still, the memory of yesterday lingers. He had tried speaking to someone who seemed exhausted under the influence of a spirit, but the girl had not been happy about his help at all. Instead, she had looked at him with a deeply unpleasant expression, and once again fear had crept back into his heart. For a moment, he wonders if he should stop, yet he does not allow himself to give up after only one disappointment. He quickly corrects himself, deciding that for now, he needs to push forward and give it his all. Gathering his courage, he approaches the girl and hesitantly asks if she is not feeling well. The girl casually admits that she isn't. Then she studies him carefully and questions who he is, wondering if he can actually see the spirit attached to her. Yajima nervously confirms that he can and adds that he can fix it too. The girl's expression changes instantly. She reacts with surprise and asks if he can really make it disappear. Her tone soon turns admiring as she calls him amazing. She then wonders if he is a first-year student. Before he can properly reply, she invites him to the cafeteria at lunch, offering to treat him to food. Caught off guard, Yajima stands there in confusion for a moment before awkwardly agreeing. The girl, who is his senior, smiles and tells him she will be waiting before thanking him again. After she leaves, Yajima remains standing there, still confused by what just happened. Nearby, Nue observes the entire exchange with amusement. She quickly understands the situation and teasingly remarks that the blossoming flower of youth has finally come for Gaku. Yajima immediately rejects her teasing, insisting it is nothing like that. In his mind, he compares himself to mud, convinced that something as bright as romance could never come his way. Nu, however, does not let him off so easily. She playfully tells him that from now on, everything he says will sound like sweet and sour romance. She encourages him to keep his guard up if he wants, clearly enjoying his reaction. Yajima quickly regrets saying anything. He tells himself that the girl is simply being kind and that there is no hidden meaning behind her actions. Nue continues teasing, pointing out that the way he talks makes it sound like he is interested. He immediately denies it, flustered and unable to even imagine such a thing. Nu keeps going, joking that if she herself were a girl, things might be different, then quickly adds that with him specifically, absolutely not. Seeing how shaken he becomes, she apologizes and says she will stop teasing him. At the same time, she notes that his self-esteem is very low. Her tone then softens. She shares her belief that people become stronger when they have something they want to protect. Later in the cafeteria, Yajima waits nervously for his senior. When she arrives, she jokingly asks who he is waiting for and whether it is his girlfriend. Before he can respond, she smiles and says she is glad he came, adding that he did well. She suggests they order food together and asks what he likes. Soon after, she recommends ramen, saying it is quite good. Yajima sits down with her, determined to handle the situation properly. He keeps telling himself that he can do this. They finish eating around the same time, and Yajima decides that he should at least thank her properly. He feels this is something he can definitely do. After finishing his meal, he politely thanks his senpai. Deep inside, he feels as though he has gained a little more experience in dealing with people. Just as he begins to think the conversation is over, his senior surprises him with another idea. She asks if he would like to start an occult club together. Yajima is caught off guard and immediately realizes that this means their connection will not end here. His senior continues, saying that she really likes occult things and reminding him that he can see them too. Yajima instantly thinks this is not good. In fact, really not good. He wants to tell her it is unsafe and that nothing good will come from it. Yet before he can say anything properly, words suddenly come out agreeing with her, and he ends up saying that it is completely fine. His senior lights up with excitement and happily thanks him. She admits that he seems shy, so she expected it would take a lot of effort to convince him, but everything went much faster than she thought. Yajima is left stunned. He realizes that he never actually said those words himself. Confused, he wonders who just spoke through him. At that moment, he notices Nue behind him. When he looks, he sees her casually sitting with a group of girls in the cafeteria, chatting as if she belongs there. Yajima cannot help but think she has already made many friends. Nue takes a breath and begins to clarify things to Gakuro Yajima, apologizing for any trouble she may have caused. She tells him that creating an occult club would be convenient in many ways. More importantly, her goal is to create a place where people troubled by spirits can come for help, since ordinary people cannot enter her room. Yajima listens quietly, amazed at how casually she presents such a large idea. He wonders how she comes up with these plans so easily. Deep down, he wishes she would stop making such big decisions without warning him. Despite his frustration, he cannot deny the thoughtfulness behind her intentions. Nue carefully considers every detail, balancing practicality with her mysterious abilities. Before leaving, his senior leans in slightly and tells Yajima she will see him after school. She promises that she will come to pick him up herself. Yajima feels both surprised and nervous, unsure how to respond. Nue watches with quiet amusement, a small smile on her lips. She comments that the girl seems genuinely nice and teasingly adds that this is quite something for Gakuro. Yajima feels his face warm, realizing that even when Nue teases him, she makes him reflect on himself in unexpected ways. He forces himself to relax, reminding himself that this is part of Nue's plan. If it is for her purpose, then it is fine. He tells himself to stay focused. As his senior walks away, an awkward moment occurs when her skirt lifts slightly. Before Yajima can react, she notices and uses what she calls a forget-it beam, making him instantly forget it. Nue calmly remarks that this is fine for now and reassures him that he will gain experience and grow from this. Later, after school, his senior comes as promised and picks him up. She excitedly tells him that the school has many empty classrooms and that she wants one of the harder-to-find rooms for their club. She also points out that with only 2 people, the club will not be approved anyway. Yajima cannot believe how far things have progressed. He never imagined it would turn out like this. Still, he quietly accepts that he will go along with whatever happens. Noticing his confusion, his senior gently asks if he feels anxious. She admits that she is nervous too and asks him to check a room with her. Nue, who has been observing quietly, comments that they have found a good place. The senior then turns to Yajima and sincerely thanks him for today and for talking with her. She reveals that she can see these things too, but it is not easy for her to deal with them. Yajima is surprised and begins to wonder if she truly understands spirits as well. She continues, saying that the thing attached to her that morning was particularly troublesome. While she can drive it away, her left arm hurts badly afterward. She wonders if it might be some kind of curse. Then she looks at Yajima and points out that he knew about it and still chose to help her. Even after dealing with it, he acted as if he was used to such things. Because of that, she says she dislikes the expression on his face that makes it seem like he regrets being invited. She tells him clearly that she invited him because she thinks he is an amazing person and urges him not to undervalue himself. As she opens a room to check it, a huge spirit suddenly bursts out. Yajima immediately sees that it is about to attack her. Without hesitation, he rushes forward, protects her, and quickly defeats the spirit. Afterward, Yajima turns to her and honestly says he was really happy she invited him. He adds that they should truly create the occult club and find a good room for it. A small smile appears on her face as she reminds him that she has been saying that from the start. She adds that this classroom is the best choice, especially now that the spirit is gone. Then she brings up the exorcists, mentioning that they only exist in this town. Hearing that, Yajima remembers what Nue once told him, that the exorcists are essentially the town's security force for handling spirits. She had also advised him that if he ever met a good exorcist, he should get close to them. At that moment, the senior introduces herself properly as Kazusa Suo. With calm confidence, she reveals the truth. She is an exorcist. Yajima listens carefully as she describes how exorcists have been fighting spirits for over 1,000 years. That is why Japan now has almost no spirits left. However, some still appear in Kaguya City. Through memory modification and other techniques, ordinary people remain unaware of them. Exorcists have formed an organization to protect the city, and Kazusa is one of its members. Kazusa turns to Yajima and reveals that she invited him to join the occult club because she wants to investigate something. She brings up the previous classroom spirit attack and checks whether he knows about it. Yajima nods in confirmation. Kazusa notes that he should not have known since his memory was supposed to be erased, but decides to set that aside for now. She then brings up the real issue. The spirit had already been defeated before the exorcists arrived. She looks at Yajima, questioning whether he was responsible, and he admits that he was. Kazusa is clearly surprised and begins to consider that he may have been handling the recent spirit incidents around the school. Then, with a subtle smirk, she remarks that it is now obvious he had fallen into the spirit's trap earlier, that when he helped her, it had all been part of a setup. Yajima feels a sharp realization that he had been lured in. Kazusa looks at him with clear admiration and warmly praises his abilities. Still amazed, she wonders how he became so powerful. Yajima is about to reveal the truth about Nue and her support, but before he can speak, the classroom door suddenly slides open. To his shock, Nue steps inside, looking for him. The moment he sees her, he remembers she had told him to wait in the classroom. He freezes, completely stunned by her timing. Kazusa notices his reaction and turns toward the newcomer, asking who she is. Without hesitation, Nue smoothly introduces herself as Yajima's sister, Sayako. Kazusa's expression shifts to surprise, and she quietly leans toward Yajima, whispering that his sister is very beautiful. Nue politely apologizes in case she has interrupted them, but Kazusa quickly reassures her that it is fine, though a slight awkwardness remains. Yajima instinctively starts to call her Nue, but she immediately stops him in his mind. Her voice firmly warns him not to use that name. Since she is a spirit, exorcists would naturally oppose her if they discovered the truth. She quickly instructs him to respond as if he had simply been born with these powers. Understanding the situation, he follows her guidance and continues the conversation carefully. Nu then asks what they are doing there. Kazusa mentions the occult club, and Nue enthusiastically offers to guide them if they are willing. Kazusa agrees. Before leaving, Nue tells Yajima to come home early for dinner, which further impresses Kazusa. Kazusa then suggests they continue and head to the place his sister mentioned for finding spirits. Yajima brings up the rumor about sounds coming from the third floor of the West Wing, an empty area, and suggests it might be real. Meanwhile, she activates her ability and changes into a suit, commenting that the school has more classrooms than necessary. Yajima tells her she looks ready, though he seems confused. He wonders what happened to her previous clothes. Kazusa clarifies that he is referring to her soul gear and checks if he can use something similar. She explains that it is the first technique exorcists learn, allowing them to remain unseen and making it very useful. Yajima admits he had no idea. Kazusa studies him with a suspicious look, making him nervous, but then calmly tells him to give her his hand. As she holds it, she explains that staying connected will suppress his power, since he has already fought twice today. She also adds that this will make them invisible, which is necessary because the third floor is off limits. When they reach the area, Yajima asks her to let go because his hand is sweaty. Kazusa teases him, saying that even with such a beautiful sister, he still gets nervous. Yajima admits that he is, and she laughs, telling him to bear with it since they are almost there. Upon arrival, they encounter a large spirit. Kazusa identifies it as a level 2 spirit. Yajima wonders if that is dangerous. Kazusa explains that when 16 or more level 1 spirits merge, they form a level 2 spirit capable of physically harming both humans and exorcists. Such cases are rare. As they speak, the spirit attacks. Kazusa immediately pulls Yajima away, noting how fast it is. Yajima is stunned, especially when he realizes she is standing in midair. She quickly checks if he is all right. He thanks her and says he can stand on his own now, but she tells him not to overexert himself. The spirit attacks again. Kazusa dodges while holding Yajima, telling him to rest since he has not fully recovered. The spirit retreats briefly, and Yajima suspects it may be heading downstairs. Suddenly, a roar echoes from behind. Kazusa reacts instantly and strikes the spirit with incredible speed. Her movements are so precise that Yajima is left speechless. Before he can react, she is already in front of it. However, the spirit suddenly changes direction and rushes toward the stairs. Yajima tries to follow, but Kazusa has already moved ahead and blocks its path. He watches in amazement, wondering how she can move so fast. Despite being blocked, the spirit refuses to stop and suddenly leaps out of the window. Kazusa briefly realizes she never gave Yajima instructions for such a situation. Without hesitation, he runs forward and jumps after it. As he leaps, he calls out to Kazusa, telling her to catch him and confidently declaring that he will defeat the spirit midair. Impressed, Kazusa follows closely behind him. Yajima carefully predicts the spirit's movement and adjusts his fall accordingly. Kazusa stays close, ready to support him. The moment he lands, Yajima channels his power and strikes with controlled force. His attack hits perfectly, defeating the spirit instantly. Kazusa watches in astonishment, finally understanding the true extent of his abilities. His strength and calm judgment leave her deeply impressed. Hours later, Kazusa reports everything to the master, stating that Yajima appears to possess natural talent and extraordinary power. The master acknowledges that such cases are possible, but points out that the increase in spirit activity within a supposedly safe zone is concerning. Kazusa reflects on this, realizing both the rarity of Yajima's abilities and the seriousness of the situation. The rising number of spirits suggests a deeper problem. The master states that reinforcements are needed, though very few are available. Kazusa proposes an idea, requesting permission to team up with Yajima to handle the spirits together. She explains that this will allow her to meet her suppression quota. Everyone is surprised, as she rarely suggests working with others. Kazusa simply states that they are compatible. The master agrees and wishes her luck. That is why Kazusa saves Yajima earlier. She tells him he has passed, though he does not understand what that means. She smiles mysteriously, calling it a secret, and tells him she will rely on him from now on as her official occult partner. He hesitates, but says he will try to meet her expectations. Kazusa calmly tells him to look at her when he says that, her tone firm yet composed. Meanwhile, Nue quietly observes everything. She reflects on her loneliness and notes how strong exorcists have become. She feels relieved that Kazusa accurately judged their abilities and softly praises them for doing their best. Nue asks Yajima why he still has not exchanged contact information with Kazusa. It has already been 3 days since Nue first asked him to do it. He apologizes for that, and Nue says it is fine, as she continues replenishing his power. He then says they should change the topic for now, and she agrees, but she still reminds him that he has club activities with Azusa today, so he should make sure to ask her for her contact information. He falls silent because he knows Nue has no intention of changing the topic. Later in class, Zeno comes over and tells Yajima that he said hello to Shinozani-senpai. Yajima does not know who that is, which surprises Zeno. He asks how Yajima does not know about Shinozani-senpai, and then explains that she is one of the 3 goddesses of North High. He says the school is famous for its 3 beauties, who make everyone turn their heads wherever they go. Still, none of the 3 show any interest in pursuing a romantic relationship with anyone, and the students admire them so much that they are called goddesses. However, ever since Yajima's sister joined the school, they have become the 4 goddesses. Zeno then adds that the other 2 goddesses are Kagura-senpai and Yajima's idol, Kazusa Suo-senpai. As Zeno is still speaking, Suo-senpai suddenly enters their classroom and points toward the boys, calling for one of them. At first, no one understands who she is referring to, and the entire class falls silent in confusion. Then Suo-senpai clearly calls out Gakuro Yajima and tells him that his sister wants him to meet her in the club room during lunch break. The whole classroom remains stunned by the unexpected visit, and Zeno quickly turns to Yajima, asking in disbelief whether his sister is somehow friends with Suo-senpai. When lunch break arrives, Yajima heads straight to the club room, still confused about what is going on. However, as soon as he steps inside, he sees Kazusa waiting there instead of his sister. Surprised, he immediately asks where his sister is. Kazusa apologizes for lying and shyly admits that it would have felt awkward to directly ask him to come eat with her. Because she wanted to talk to him about something important, she decided to use his sister's name as an excuse to bring him there. He politely apologizes for making her come all the way to the classroom just to call him. As the conversation continues, he suddenly remembers Nue's repeated words about exchanging contact information with Kazusa. The thought instantly makes him nervous, and he begins mentally preparing himself to ask for her contact details. Even though he wants to ask, he still feels awkward and unsure about how to bring it up naturally, making the moment feel even more tense for him. Kazusa then tells him that they are going to patrol the school building today because it feels like more people have been getting possessed by spirits lately. After she finishes explaining everything, they head back, but Yajima still cannot bring himself to ask for her contact information. After school, Kazusa meets Yajima and they get ready to leave. Yajima asks why she is not changing into her soul gear since it would prevent people from seeing her, but she explains that they are not doing anything dangerous, so there is no need to waste their powers. She also mentions that people might see them together and start rumors about Yajima and Kazusa. Kazusa reassures Yajima, telling him that everything will be fine. She explains that she is experienced in handling situations like this and promises to act distant from him so that the rumors die down quickly. Her calm confidence gives Yajima a small sense of relief, but he still feels the tension lingering in the air. The very next day, Yajima's classmates swarm around him, bombarding him with questions about the rumor that he is dating Kazusa. He is stunned by how quickly the news has spread throughout the school, far faster than he could have imagined. Even Kazusa, who had confidently claimed she could handle these kinds of situations, seems a little pressured as she watches the growing crowd. Yajima immediately tries to clarify that it is all just a misunderstanding, but his words are lost in the chatter of the other students. No one seems willing to listen, and the situation only escalates further. Curious classmates begin crowding outside his classroom, craning their necks just to catch a glimpse of him. The whispers grow louder, and every passing glance seems to spread the rumor further. Feeling cornered, Yajima realizes that the situation is slipping out of control. The attention of the entire school seems to be focused on him, and the rumor is spreading faster than he can manage. He knows that if he does not act, the misunderstanding will only become bigger, and the delicate balance Kazusa had promised to maintain will collapse entirely. The pressure weighs heavily on him as he considers what he must do next. Feeling completely cornered, Yajima realizes that he has to take matters into his own hands. Determined to clear up the misunderstanding, he grabs a large sheet of paper and carefully writes that the dating rumors are completely false. He then boldly declares that he will walk around the school wearing the sign so everyone can clearly see the truth for themselves. Although some of his classmates think the idea is embarrassing and unnecessary, Yajima remains serious. In his mind, this rumor has already grown far beyond what someone like him deserves, and he feels responsible for stopping it before it spreads any further. With a mix of nervousness and determination, he prepares himself to face the entire school and put an end to the misunderstanding once and for all. Zeno immediately tells him that it is a foolish idea, but Yajima remains determined. He says that the rumor has grown far beyond anything worthy of someone like him, and that he should at least do this much to clear things up. His classmates try to stop him, but he refuses to listen. As soon as he steps out of the classroom, he runs into Kazusa. She notices the sign hanging from him and tries to stop him, but Yajima quickly runs away without listening. He tells her that if people see them together right now, they will only misunderstand the situation even more. He rushes into the washroom, where another boy notices him and asks if he is the rumored boy connected to Kazusa. The student introduces himself as Arataka Yoshida, the student council president. He advises Yajima that although it is admirable that he is trying to handle everything on his own, he should learn to rely on others when things become this difficult. Before leaving, Yoshida gives him his number. That night, Yajima sleeps more peacefully, feeling as though he no longer has to carry the burden alone. However, the next day, Zeno confronts him in shock and asks what exactly he has done. A new rumor is spreading that Yajima has declared that anyone who wants to steal Kazusa from him must defeat him in an arm wrestling match after school. Yajima's jaw drops because he knows nothing about this. Wondering how things have somehow become even worse, he then spots Nue standing outside his classroom and immediately realizes that she is the one behind all of it. After school, the arm wrestling match begins, and a huge crowd gathers to watch. Nue is also there, observing everything. Every participant looks massive, and Yajima starts to feel overwhelmed. At that moment, he remembers the student council president's words about relying on others when things get difficult. Thinking of that advice, he decides to ask the president for help. However, the moment the president enters the classroom, Yajima immediately senses that something is wrong. There is a strange presence around him, and everyone soon realizes that the president is being possessed by a spirit. The president sits down in front of Yajima and boldly declares that he will take Kazusa, challenging Yajima to an arm wrestling match. The crowd immediately begins talking excitedly about how the president wants a chance with Kazusa and how the two of them would look good together. Soon, everyone starts cheering for the president. Nue quickly understands that the president's will is being corrupted by the spirit. Yajima is left unsure of what to do because he first needs to defeat the spirit, but he cannot use his full power in front of everyone, or the rumors will only get worse. For a moment, he considers losing on purpose and then dealing with the spirit afterward. Just then, he hears the president's real voice from within, silently asking for help. Yajima's expression hardens with determination. He tells him that he will help and rises with resolve. In the end, he manages to defeat the spirit possessing the president. After that, Nue cleverly gets the entire crowd fired up and even helps clear up the misunderstanding surrounding the dating rumors. After school, Kazusa compliments Yajima, saying that he truly did not hesitate back then, and that if his sister had not helped him, the rumors would never have gone away. Yajima apologizes to her about everything, but Kazusa tells him it was actually a compliment. Then Kazusa asks if he wants to add her online. Yajima remains stunned. She explains that she wants him to be able to contact her in situations like this, and Yajima quickly agrees. Kazusa then adds that he is the first boy she has ever shared her line with, so he had better not tell his friends about it. Hearing this leaves Yajima completely surprised. A boy looks at the school from a distance and remarks that Nue is surely inside, yet no one at headquarters has noticed. He senses nothing unusual from the area and questions whether they are at the right place. A girl standing beside him admits she is unsure as well, having only heard rumors. Inside the school, Kazusa and Yajima confront a large spirit early in the morning. They need to deal with it immediately. Kazusa finds it strange that high-level Level 2 spirits have been appearing so frequently, as such occurrences are unusual. She suspects something is wrong with the school, since spirits have never harmed humans here before. Normally, security would handle such threats, but for now, they are on their own. She attacks the spirit, tearing it apart, and then signals Yajima to continue. As Yajima prepares to strike, he hears a voice calling for help. He hesitates, but an unfamiliar voice warns him not to stop, explaining that Level 2 spirits often mimic human voices to distract their attackers. Ordinary people usually fall for this trick, but exorcists are trained to resist it. At that moment, a long-haired girl steps in and attacks the spirit without hesitation. She remarks that Yajima lacks both training and awareness. Yajima thanks her sincerely. The girl acknowledges his politeness, but adds that such traits are useless against experienced spirits. She then examines the spirit carefully and informs Yajima that she does not detect any serious injuries. She goes on to mention the importance of damage restoration, memory modification, and preventive measures for future spirit incidents. Meanwhile, the school continues its normal routine. Kazusa rushes in, notices the girl, and informs Yajima that she belongs to one of the two great exorcist families and that backup has arrived. Yajima remains silent, watching in awe, feeling as though he has stepped into another world. Later, in class, a new transfer student named Shiroha Fujino is introduced. Yajima is shocked to realize she is the same girl from earlier, now a student in his class. Everyone comments on her sad expression, but Yajima cannot stop thinking about their previous encounter. He reflects on how he once believed the world was becoming difficult, only to realize that it was his own lack of judgment, immaturity, and inexperience that made it seem that way. His nervousness grows as the teacher tells Shiroha to sit next to him. His heart begins to pound as she notices him as well. The other boys in the class immediately think that it will now be harder to gather around Yajima's desk. The teacher asks Yajima to share his books with Fujino. He simply hands her his book, saying he will review the material later. The other boys think he is foolish for wasting such an opportunity. However, Fujino gently tells him that such formalities are unnecessary and slides her desk next to his. The entire class notices how direct she is. After a brief silence, they begin studying. After some time, Fujino remarks that she senses the presence of a spirit coming from Yajima. She wonders if it is because he borrowed power from one. Yajima freezes in surprise. Fujino takes his hand, confirming her suspicion. She leans closer and whispers that even if he denies it, she can tell from his scent and pulse. Fujino realizes she has found her target. She has been sent by her headquarters, which had not yet discovered that Nue is at this school. Her mission is to form a contract with Nue. Sitting in class, she directly asks Yajima if he knows about Nue and reveals that her goal is to forcibly take Nue's power. Yajima is stunned. Fujino continues, questioning whether Nue is the one who lent him his powers. She keeps holding his hand, but Yajima remains silent. From his reaction, she confirms her suspicion. She asks him to reveal more about Nue, but he refuses, saying he owes his life to her and will not disclose anything. Fujino notices the sincerity in his words. She withdraws her hand and says she will find Nue on her own. Yajima finally relaxes as the tense moment ends. However, he soon realizes that Nue may have heard everything through him, meaning they will need to be more careful about meeting for a while. Still, he trusts that Nue will handle the situation, as exposing themselves is not an option. Just then, he sees Nue enter the classroom. She calls out to him with a smile, acting like his sister, but he immediately senses danger, as Fujino picks up Nue's presence at once.
Here I am, know it's been a while.